Swimming is always a summer favorite for fun and cooling down. But if you don't know how to swim or get caught in a situation where swimming is difficult, it can be very dangerous. A carefree day can turn bad very quickly if you're not careful. But what does drowning actually feel like? Is it a quiet, peaceful experience like in the movies? Or are you panicking the whole time like in a video game when your breath meter is ticking down? When we see someone who can't swim in the movies, it's usually a very misleading version of what really happens. In fiction, it's usually depicted as someone screaming, waving their arms, and splashing around to show they can't swim. But in real life, drowning is almost silent. If you can scream, you can breathe. And if you can breathe, you're not drowning. Drowning is directly related to our breathing. It all begins when a person isn't able to keep their head and mouth above water. To the untrained eye, the person may not even look like they're in distress. People may begin to drown for a variety of reasons. They could be caught in a riptide in the ocean, where the current drags them under. Or it may be that the water is calm, but they don't know how to swim or float. Once a person can't keep their mouth above the water, the 4 steps of drowning start. First, the person holds their breath voluntarily until the urge to breathe becomes totally overwhelming. At this point, a person holds their breath automatically, but at a certain point, a reflexive response forces the person to inhale, which leads us to the second step. Water gets aspirated or breathed into the airways or gets swallowed. The third step, called cerebral anoxia, happens when the body detects water in the lungs and stops the breathing system completely. This happens because water enters the trachea and causes a spasm that seals the airways so that no more water can come in. This is the body's way of protecting itself. And finally, the fourth step, since no oxygen is reaching the brain, cerebral injury sets in and can be irreversible. The water that does reach your lungs can make red blood cells in your lungs burst and lead to massive organ failure. If the water you aspirate is salt water, it can mix with the burst red blood cells, causing your lungs to fill up with a type of plasma. Either way, it's a bad deal that feels like searing pain in your chest. Eventually, the person drowning will lose consciousness, and the next step is permanent unconsciousness. However, drowning does not necessarily lead to death if the person is saved in time, but it has to be quickly and the water has to be immediately extracted from a body with life-saving techniques. If a person does survive drowning, they could suffer lifelong consequences, like major brain damage, acute lung injury, or pneumonia depending on how long they were underwater and if not treated properly. The best way to avoid drowning is by knowing the proper swimming techniques and staying out of the water when it's dangerous. Certified swimming instructors have classes year-round and teach all ages. Even babies at 6 months have been taught to float. So if you can't swim and are physically able to, then there's no excuse not to learn. But whether you want to learn or not, you can also take classes to learn life-saving techniques like CPR and how to extract water from a person once you get them out of the water. Every single year, an estimated 4.5 million people die from drowning, so you never know when you might be in the position to save someone's life yourself. Thanks for watching, and if you really want to make Fuzzy happy, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to turn on notifications. They drive Nuts crazy. See you next time.